Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the DEI Dispatch. This is a podcast where every week we have an original thinker, a founder, or an operator in the expanding and growing decentralized artificial intelligence space. Of course, there are many subcategories within this evolving meta, and the hottest one is AI agents. One of the hottest areas in this space, or a project that kind of burst forth as this new meta kicked in, late last year, was the Virtuals Protocol, which was trying to build this agentic society. And one of the cool projects that came out of that meta was Acolyt AI. And so today I am excited to have with me on the show Condz, who is one of the core contributors, co-founders of Acolyte. For those who don't know, Acolyte is building the AI agent Oracle. It's not fair to define them or put them into this small definition because they actually have a very broad and growing product, bouquet. And so we today will dive into this project, understand more about what their mission and goals are, and what is the long-term impact of Acolyte in making AI agents more accessible, universal, and truly utility-driven and value accretive for humanity. So with that, Condz, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you, Rohit. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invite. Yeah, it's just been an amazing road and I appreciate you for doing this. I do think there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of things happening. The space grows so fast and changes so fast. It's very valuable for you to bring founders here and explain what we're doing. It's kind of cool as well to share because we don't have this room of like talking too much as well, like
Hmm.
with like rapid meetings, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. So here we have more room to talk about deeper, more into detail and
Yeah.
like behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. I never enjoy Twitter spaces because everybody is jumping back and forth and you can't explore a topic in depth. And so I always enjoy one on one conversations.
Awesome.
So, to start, Cons, let's zoom out and go personal first. Why don't you introduce the man behind the project? What's your history, background, personal motivations, whatever? Just talk about yourself and your history for the community.
Sounds good. I could go hours talking about this, so I'll try to minimize as much as possible.
Go
But
for it.
yeah, I'm 32 years old. I started my career as a designer actually when I was like
Mm.
16, working for companies, and I always wanted to work with technology because I realized when I was like that was almost like a long time ago, 15 years or so ago. I already realized that my work, my design work, was to be replaced by a robot. I didn't think about artificial intelligence, but I thought about, okay, this is something that I'm just gathering images from the internet and thinking about ways of doing this differently. And I was like, okay, this will be replaced one day. So I was always looking to add more technology to what I was doing, always moving forward to tech. And then I evolved to create my own software house. I started to hire developers. I actually went to live in Canada. That was in 2014 because I was developing games. I started to develop my own games and then started to recruit more people, devs, PMs, designers, and assemble my own company to launch bigger and bigger games. So we ended up working with Bandai Namco, which is one of the most prominent game developers in the world, well, like Web 2, and we published a game called Pac-Man Bounce in 2015. You can Google it, you're gonna find it. And we were like the team behind the game. And then worked with Microsoft, building games like ultra casual games for them. And then ended up starting to build apps for startups. And we did like motion design and like video and whole apps for them. And we did that. I did that for like 4 or 5 years, so always working with tech and having my own company and always trying to build apps myself as well. Tried a whole bunch of things. A lot of them fail, but some of them went all right. So I made money working with tech and providing services for other companies, and also a few minor apps that I did. 2018, I got into the finance world, developing apps for banks and fintechs, and also kind of went to marketing a little bit, more like a technological marketing with product-led growth structure, where you build a product and you input marketing within that product. So it's always like very data-driven marketing. So went to do that for like 2 3 years, and like heard about Bitcoin, bought a little bit, but not too much. And 2021, I got very early into X Infinity because it was like gaming and finance, so it was the perfect match for me. I was like, okay, this is really interesting. Let me play around with this, and then ended up having like 100 teams of Axie. Had a community with like 5,000 people on Discord, fully organic, and growing every single day. We started to also got into another community. So I free minted Neo Tokyo at the time. So ended up being like a very high level a group of people. Made a whole bunch of friends there that are still with me to this day. Like Felix Northern, for example, launching his AI agents now, and we his advisor at Acolyte. So been building for a while with the same guys. And I kind of like moved my company to come into Web3. So I published, we launched a company called Lumix, so lumx.io, which right now we're more focused on providing like stablecoin infrastructure for Web2 companies to come into Web3 and transact with USDT. But it's very infrastructure play. And we realized, so that's what evolved into creating AI agents that provides infra for others, because we have like 3-4 years of with this tech already being built. But I got into AI agents just because I always use them in Web 2, because I'm always looking to replace myself, like the next level. You know, I want to create the world that I want to live in. So I see a world where we're like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we're gonna have like billions of agents doing stuff for us that we don't want to do, right? Like we can even do some stuff like, oh, I have 3 meetings at the same time, and I can have my AI agents going to meetings and participate for me. Like, and there's like a tag of AI, but it's exactly like me, and then he can come back to me. So we'll be way more powerful when we reach that scale, and we're very
Yeah.
close to that, honestly.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
just the other day, there was this collection of, generative AI. There was a thread of generative AI. I think it came out of China. I don't remember which company. I think it was Alibaba or Tencent. Can't recall. But I couldn't believe the quality of those videos was like you can't make out whether it's a human, like a
yeah,
real person, or AI. So clearly, we're making great strides in this technology every single day. Like DeepSeek
yes.
was another. Like, it just shook the market because nobody expected something like that with that kind of performance to come out, when Sam Altman and OpenAI have been saying, like, you need billions of dollars to
Mhm.
create those kind of models. And so clearly the market has opened up, and this is only good for open source, you know participation and expansion of the entire community of
Mhm.
what is possible, which is so cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
and I
mm,
think this is a good thing.
mm,
Is for us to evolve, and AI agents, they will replace 90% plus of the tasks that we do nowadays, and then humans will end up doing whatever we want in terms of exploration. So AI agents will kind of help us with the finance part, with the daily tasks, and then we'll able humans to focus on the new strides, new adventures, new things that the human mind goes to that the AI agents doesn't have the capability to do so. So I do think
mm,
there's a limitation of what's the difference between an AI agent and a human. But now we have a long way to go to replace that, and I would love to
yeah,
live in that world. So that's
yeah,
what we did, and then we started to play around. I received an airdrop of virtuals actually January last year, because I free minted the Path DAO in 2021, and then they airdropped was the same company. They kind of like pivoted to become Virtuals. So I
yeah.
received a free airdrop. Was like, okay, what is this in my wallet? And then I started to play around, and the idea was really interesting to launch agents, and based on the market cap, you have access to a certain feature. Okay, this is interesting. Start to play around, and then we launched Acolyte with this idea of and then I can go through the exact step by step how we did it, if you want to go through that. But
Yeah,
um,
yeah. No,
with this technology, yeah, go ahead.
I first just want to comment on your personal journey. Like, started as a designer, doing so much in the gaming industry for the
Hmm.
longest time, uh, and then I see like you have this, gene for to become a builder, like talk about that. Like, where does that come from? Were you always like this, entrepreneurial? Did the spark, bite you somewhere in the process? Do you really enjoy the journey of, you know, like discovering ideas and then working and building them from scratch? Talk about,
Yeah.
that side of your
So,
life.
so yeah, that's a very good question. So it's hard to talk about this sometimes because the market's crazy. But
Mm.
yeah, so my youth, like I had like my father, my parents, they had okay money. Like we never like we had things to eat and we have everything we needed, but we weren't like wealthy,
Mm.
And my parents, they had like a lot of debts at a time, and they used to fight a lot about that stuff. So I
Mm.
always in my mind, I wanted to make enough money and I wanted to actually build stuff to be huge, so I wouldn't have that problem. So
Mm.
that was stuck with me since I was like 14. So I was always trying to make money, like sell magazines to people. That my parents gave me magazines. I was like reselling those, like Pokemon cards, that all that kind of stuff. I was trying to make money and build like companies. My parents also kind of tried to be entrepreneurs, but life is hard. It's not like easy for you to build a successful business.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always had this stride of actually trying to be
Mm.
successful and trying to be entrepreneur with more like open minds and try new things and fast. I was always really really fast doing things and wanting to really
Mm.
deliver instead of going the regular route of like becoming a lawyer or a doctor, stuff like that. I
Mm.
was always
and
more like
and
a
and and
creative, I
and
would say.
and also curious, like, when we think of entrepreneurship, it's we always have some mm, caricature. We are inspired by something, right, out there. um, why technology, right? There's like just so many things. It's a open playing field. What drove you to, you know pursue gaming first, and then kind of dive deep into the whole, now hardcore infrastructure and stuff? Is like, knee deep you're into technology, like neck deep, I
Yeah.
would say, not even knee deep, neck deep. So what drove you towards the whole technology sector? Why do you think it's a interesting space, and why is there still so much, despite having all of these big tech companies, we're still seeing more startups coming in and eating away, their lunch at the edges, at the margins.
Yeah.
And so our appetite for tech just doesn't, satiate. Why is that, and what drove you to technology?
Yeah, it's just, already like so many good questions. For me, for the game part, always a gamer. So since like
Hmm.
my childhood, I used to play Counter Strike and then Ragnarok and then
Hmm.
Tibia and then like RuneScape and all those games. I used to play them a lot in like LAN houses we had in Brazil. I was born in Brazil, and we go to LAN houses where it's like I didn't have a good internet at home, so we spent like the whole day playing games and then World of Warcraft, and then Dota, and then League of Legends, all the stuff. So I played everything. And I really enjoy it. It's like to go into another world, and then you have the capacity to do stuff that you weren't capable of in your real life. So it kind of like gives space for your mind to see all the possibilities. um, and yeah, I just used to love like playing games, and then I was like, okay, I need to work with that because I
Hmm.
love doing that anyway. So what if I do that to live?
Hmm.
um, and but at the same time, like technology for me is more like and this is something that I realized later on. It's not something that I was like 18 and I was like, okay, technology is exactly what I'm going to say now. But I
Hmm.
realized after a while, that's the why I was doing it. At first I was just like, okay, gaming is cool, and I love playing games, and also like I do see the possibility of being replaced by something like a robot in the future, and I want to build that instead of being replaced. I just don't want to be like a designer. I want to build tools for people to create stuff.
Hmm.
That was my line of thought. But then um, around like 2016, I had like a big change in my life. Actually, I started to meditate. I stopped like eating meat because I was like in a dark space kind of. So I questioned myself a lot. I actually
Mm.
went to India, like went to Sadhguru's ashram, stayed like a
Yeah.
month in the ashram, doing like volunteer work, and did all of that for a while before like
Oh,
realizing
oh,
everything that I
I've been there too once.
really. Oh, Isha Yoga Center. Oh man, that place is amazing. Yeah, I brought this from
Oh,
India, by
yeah.
the way. Yeah.
See, I
But
have those two right there.
okay, nice. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, so I started
Hmm.
doing that, and
Hmm.
for the technological part, the thing that I realized is that
Hmm.
the only difference that it makes from a human to another creature, like let's say a dog or a monkey or whatever, is that we are able to use tools. So dogs, they cannot use tools that much. They don't understand that much. Monkeys, they are the closest thing, and they kind of can use tools, but not that much. And we can use a lot of tools. Like we understand how to use things around us
Yeah.
to
We're tool
build stuff.
builders.
We are actual builders. That's what we do. Like that's the only difference. If you put us in front of a tiger and we have no tools to work
We're
with, we're gonna
dead.
die instantly, right? But if you give us like a few tools, we're able to create something that we can contain the tiger or do whatever we want, right? And right now we are the most evolved species that we control the world because we can use for our ability of using tools. And technology is just that, creating things. Technology is the thing that enables us to create new tools. That's the infrastructure.
So
So that's
it's
why.
it's an internal urge, something which I don't know if we are genetically coded,
Yeah,
pre-coded, that for our survival we're always looking at improving tools. And I think while we have crossed that survival barrier, now it's about we don't know what that limit of being human is, and so we keep
exactly.
building these tools to experience life in a more fuller, deeper way.
Perfect.
So that brings me to AI because a lot of people are scared, and rightfully so,
Hmm.
because of all of the sci-fi movies for sure. Because 99% of them, AI is completely evil, right? Like Skynet or any other movie, iRobot.
Hmm.
iRobot actually, one of the AI turns nice. Her was a great movie as well. But you know, overall, there is this conversation going on around, we need a better way to control this thing. And today, that control is going in the hands of either, really large people with deep pockets, so organic, private companies, or eventually it's going to be some, huge government, a totalitarian regime.
Okay.
That scenario which is playing out today is scaring a lot of people. Elon Musk, he spoke about it a lot. He also got into a fight with I don't know if you've read his biography, but there is a chapter where he talks where he has a huge altercation, with Larry Page, Sergey Brin, one of those the co-founders of Google, where they were talking about um, the effects of AI. And while Sergey was pro AI, and he said if there is a better alternative, like if even if it is a synthetic being which is smarter than humans, then it should surpass humanity, and that is a logical evolution. But Elon had he had strong reservations against that idea, which is why he's funded Sam Altman to start OpenAI as an open source, transparent
Mhm.
movement for AI. And now we've seen all of that completely change. So yeah, let's talk about this macro environment. People are scared their jobs will go away. You keep talking about all of our stuff, mundane stuff that we're doing will go away. I think a lot of our higher order thinking, reasoning stuff that we do, that will also be impacted largely by AI. Because I mean, I can't imagine a scenario where a bunch of highly trained AI agents on specific categories, um, why can't they run a company, right? Why can't they think about what they need to do? How do they need to allocate capital? Because what are the three decisions that a company has to do? They have to figure out how do they allocate capital? What do they allocate capital on? How do they earn a rate of return which is higher than the hurdle rate? That's pretty much it. And how do they expand, right? And creative stuff. We are using generative AI has proved that machines can creatively generate stuff. The more intelligent they become, they will be able to generate movies. They will be able to come up with ideas, spin up a I don't know a bank account or whatever, a crypto wallet, fund it by launching its own token through a TE, whatever and then essentially do the whole thing by themselves. So I see a scenario where we are not required. So let's start there first. What is your take on this larger AI debate that is happening in the world? And from there, we'll segue into Acolyte.
Yeah. So this is a sensitive topic because people may misunderstand what I'm saying. But even those tasks that they're saying that they seem very high level, they're not really. So
Mm,
doing math is not really high level. Like a calculator can do this. Like any computer can do this. Of course,
mm,
you go to quantum computing that you can do like very like quickly very intricate and solve very intricate problems, and we are moving towards that. And in the future, like AI agents or AI will be able to create their own new computers, and it will be different from what we're capable of. So I do agree that they will evolve into one part that a lot of human beings won't understand what's happening, but this is already happening. If you think about like even like an iPhone, like
mm.
99.9% of people, like we here on this call, we would not be able to build this from scratch. I have no
Right.
idea how this is done from scratch, from zero to becoming this. I know how to use it. I try to use to my to the fully potential, but we do not know how to do it, how to create this. We need to dig deep and understand. But there are some people that know, right? And it'll be the same with AI. So a few
Mm,
people will know how to create and to maintain and to grow it, and most people just use it on a daily basis, and they'll have no idea what's impacted them. They have no idea this is AI or not. They just
mm.
have their problem solved. And in the overall society nowadays, and not like being not talking about politics or like Vitalik was just kidding these days about communism and capitalism, these things, like not going deep into that,
That
but
blew out of proportion.
yeah, exactly. It was just like he was referring to an article that he did like a long time ago. It was just a joke, but people, But anyway, like there is some deep meaning to it where I do think we as a society went too far on money. Like money, money, the money is the only thing, and the only thing you can do is money, and there's nothing else. And I
Mm,
disagree. Like in my life, when I started to focus less on money and focus less on value and like getting myself to be a better human being, to be more capable, to understand more my own emotions, to understand more what the human mind is capable of or the human body is capable of, I started to make more money actually,
mm.
because then you become more capable and the money will come to you. It's not the
Yeah.
opposite.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about. Like AI will able us to be better humans, and we will get into a point where we'll discover new abilities for human beings that AI won't be able to do. And
Mm,
some people can already see that. Very, very small, like 0.001% of people can already see that. But most people think they will get their, oh my God, my job, my job, my job. Yes, your job will be replaced, but you can learn how to use the AI so you can create the thing that will replace you,
mm,
and then you'll be
mm,
the owner of that thing, and then you'll be able to do more jobs and more significant things, because if
mm,
your job is replaceable by AI, that means your job is worthless, really.
mm,
So you
mm.
try to find a thing that makes sense for the world, for humans to become better and for the world to become better. So yeah.
Mm. But don't you think like these machines are getting smarter and smarter, and eventually there'll be a point when what we can do through our cognitive reasoning, critical thinking, all of these things that we are blessed with, we're the only ones who are blessed with because we have this prefrontal cortex. Do you think we'll get to a stage eventually where machines compete with us or eventually outcompete us in
In terms
those
of
factors?
economics, yes, but at the
Mm,
same time, if you think about it, it's impossible for you to create something that is better than you
mm.
overall. It's impossible.
That's the
It's like
debate,
if you're gonna try,
and
if
that's
you're gonna try, it's physically impossible. Like how
mm,
are you going to create something that is better than yourself? So you're only able to create something or to do something in the
mm,
world based on your capacity, but
interesting.
they are going to look like they're really smart at specific things, and they will be.
Mm,
They will be much better than ourselves at math or logical thinking. They will be much better. They will be able to make more money. They will go into their route and they will be amazing. but there will be
Mm,
always human beings that surpass that, and then the next level and the next level and the next level. It's the same
mm,
thing as like 20 years ago. If you think about having an iPhone and people, oh my god, you're gonna have
mm.
something that you can
Yeah.
talk to people all over the world, and that could be scary. Of course, we gotta put like restrictions. We gotta
Mm,
put. It's the same thing as like, imagine if you're 2 years old and you have unlimited access to the internet. It's going to be poisonous for you. It's going to be bad
mm,
for you. You cannot have unlimited access to the internet as a 2, 8, 10 years old. You need to have limitations of like violence, porn, this kind of stuff. You cannot see that. It's the same thing with AI. You gotta restrict, but you cannot. It's impossible to restrict in the terms of limits. It's going to happen. It's like the internet. It's going to happen, and it's positive depending on how you use it. It's the same thing as a
mm.
knife or
Yeah,
a
for
gun,
sure.
whatever. Like you can use a knife to cook, or you can use a knife to kill someone. Like it depends on how
Mm,
you use it. So the technology is the same thing. I
mm.
do agree we need restrictions,
Yeah.
but it's very positive overall.
Yeah. Do I really want to talk about Acolyte now, but one thing that came to my head, which is I see a lot of like in the early 90s, early 80s, 70s, it was the space race, which two major powers were fighting on to term, like essentially determine who will be the next world leader, right? After the
Mhm.
fall of the last great empires in the 40s and 50s with the Great Wars. And now we're looking at another, flip, which is, America versus China, which is happening. Both are trying to outcompete themselves on either trade or technology and now AI. I don't want to get into the politics of it, but one concern that a lot of people have is if somebody has, too much control of this technology, they will be there could be like some, unforeseen outcomes of this. There could be mass media manipulation. I could be joining this call, somebody who looks like me, talks like me, but you're not able to make out, and spreading disinformation. Mass attacks, cyber attacks, or now you will have these humanoids which are coming up, machines which have agentic capabilities, so they have their own brains. This is also a scenario which a lot of people are talking about, and when, like, how do you then reconcile this to, of course, on one side we have technology like nuclear can be used to give the world clean energy forever, but as humans we tend to usurp power or go for it because we want that consolidation, right? For whatever reasons. How do you, reconcile with this fact that, okay, I'm working on this technology, making it better for the world and for humans to better experience themselves, but on that side, these are like very real issues. How do you see this? How do you think? What role do all of us as contributors to improving this technology, expanding this, uh, play in making sure it doesn't kind of go into these, basically control this process? Do you think it's more decentralization, it's more open source AI, expansion of more minds joining in, or making it more egalitarian so there is greater participation? Is there a way to kind of deal with this problem?
Yeah, definitely a way with transparency and decentralizing, so people will be able to dig and see what's happening. That's definitely a way to evolve faster into a more positive outcome.
Mm,
But overall, I'm not too afraid of this. I honestly don't think about. I don't waste too much energy thinking about what can go wrong all the time. I prefer to think about what I want the world to be and then build as fast as possible and bringing solutions as fast as possible. Because if you do that, you're creating things instead of just like try to restrict the other side. Because if you think about like people try to be nostalgic and that stuff, but if you think about like 100 years
mm,
ago, the world was much harsher. It was
mm.
much harder to live. It was much worse than it
Yeah,
is today. And even like
100%.
20 years ago, it was much. Nowadays, is much better. Like you have less violence. You do. So
Yeah.
imagine like 1,000 years ago was much more violence. So overall, historically talking about, humans tend to go into a better path. So it will come to war. We'll have more wars. It will happen, and we have controlled raw wars. It will be different. We'll have like AI wars. This stuff will happen, but it will be controlled. And if we're able to create something faster and better, won't have, and we ourselves that think like this, and we want to become like help, actually help human beings, because we are humans. Like I'm human, and I want to live in a better world, and I want to live in peace, and I want to be able to do whatever I like, and be get to the maximum of my capability. So I just want to build faster. So we are on the top of the level when these things happen, and then we will be able to have a bigger impact, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we need to grow. We need to have an impact for real instead of just talking and not doing anything, right? So
Yeah.
my main thing is like just trying to build more solutions and being able to grow my impact. So when it comes to it, I actually have an impact instead of just saying to the abysm, you know. So that's how I see it.
And in terms of the evolution of where this goes next, mostly what we use in terms of artificial intelligence is behind a screen. So if we have this co-pilot with us, where we are talking to him, either trying to expand our knowledge or solve a problem. Right? I want to code better. I will go to a Claude or whatever
Mhm.
cursor. I want to think about a program that I want to launch. I'll go to ChatGPT. I want to understand what's happening on Twitter. I'll go to Grok. Ask a bunch of questions, and I really love what I get. Right? It just makes my learning curve so much faster. So I think at
Yes.
one level, it's going to give us these personalized assistants, which is going to change the way how we consume information. And so much time that we are spending online. I mean, the other day I was talking to somebody. I was like, I spend more time with my laptop than my wife. And so started laughing. I was like, man, what's happening? And so yeah, my point is like, the other day I was listening to one of the interviews recently by Jensen Huang, where he was talking about the next big opportunity is going to be in the physical space, because everything that is in the physical space would essentially be driven by intelligent automation, right? Autonomous power. And so what do you see, like more humanoids and stuff that we generally are surrounded by everything physical, right? From our mobility, right, to electricity, all of these appliances and machines that we have around us, or at a more broader economic scale, the machineries that are operating in factories today. There is now a credible like direction to make everything AI driven. What's your take on physical AI, the good and bad of it, and how will this? How soon are how far away are we from this reality, from where our cars are completely autonomous? We have a humanoid working at home and or in our offices as our assistant, and we have this entire like new uh, you know species we are surrounded by, who are solving our problems not just behind a screen but also in the real world around us.
Yeah, I think this is already happening. So
Hmm.
in our daily lives, like I show the iPhone, like we have smart
Hmm.
TVs, we have smart watches, we have things that we call smart. So that
Hmm.
means we are dumber than that, right? If you call someone smart, it means it's smarter than you.
Smart marketing gimmick, Condz.
Yes, exactly. So if you're calling your appliances smart, they are smart for you. So it's already happening. It's already happening. Like 20 years ago, we had no stuff like that, and we were like kind of afraid of that. So it will definitely help. It will be in everyone, it will be in everything. Um, and in terms of timelines, it depends. I do see the
Hmm.
next like 3 to 5 years having a huge impact, and us
Hmm.
actually having like humanoids. And because the thing is, if you go like to Singapore, for example, and you walk in the streets, they're like police robots that walk around and they tell you like, oh, call police, whatever. Or you already have like cleaning robots. This is already happening. Like
Hmm.
it's just a common, like a normal next step. And
But what about like humanoids, like the stuff that Boston Analytics is working on, for instance, Boston Dynamics? Or I know Tesla is also working on their own humanoids. I forgot the name of the company
Hmm.
behind it. And so I think the end goal there is to have something that looks like us, has a more, more flexibility, agility, dexterity that we have. And that changes the game completely than, a toy just moving around on a road with like wheels under it.
Yeah.
That's just very
Yeah,
primitive.
I agree, because then people will like starting to interact and even think they're humans. I don't think they will get close to humans, because
Mm,
there's one tale that's interesting to tell. Like, it's a funny kind of a joke, and but I think it illustrates well what it is.
mm, mm,
So there was a couple scientists, and they were building things, and they realized that was like 100 years from now, so
mm,
2100, and they
mm,
were okay. Oh, actually, we discovered the answer of the world. Let's go talk to God and show him.
mm,
So they went to God, and I'm not like, I don't believe in God like people believe. I'm more like I want to reach my full capacity as a human being. So I'm not like religious or anything like that, but just as the joke, just to tell a joke. So they went to God,
mm.
and they showed, and they were like, "Oh God, let us show you something. We don't need you anymore. We
Yeah.
can create everything from scratch. We can create life. Let us show you." So they took like a grain of sand, and they did some stuff in the machine, and it turned into a baby, a human being,
Yeah.
and it was actual baby, like
Huh.
exactly like a baby. And God's looked at this and said, "Oh, that's pretty cool, but first, get your own grain of sand." So it's the same thing, right? Like, we are using
Mm,
things that are already here. Like, we're
mm,
not creating. We didn't create ourselves. We didn't
mm,
create a human being. We are born and we don't know what we're doing here. Kind of like we're discovering, and we're creating new
mm,
things to amplify our
mm,
capacity.
mm,
That's all we're capable of. We're not, again, like, we are not, we didn't create a grain of sand. We didn't create ourselves. So we are doing stuff to augment our capacity, but we will learn by creating some stuff that are replacing the things that we feel are useless and can be replaced over time. Will open the human mind to discover new things that we're capable of.
mm,
That's how I
Interesting.
see it.
Wow. Yeah, that's actually a fair point as well. I think about it quite a lot, which is what is the limit of being human? I don't know. That is the reality. So
Yes,
I don't know there is a creator. I can't either accept or reject that conclusion because
exactly.
there is no evidence against or for it. So anyhow, moving to Acolyte, I was going
So,
through your website. By the way, really cool design. Like it just gives us like cool vibes. I love that artwork. Did you make it yourself, or was there
yeah, we
somebody else
have.
on your team?
Oh, we have a design team. We did it together.
Ah,
Like,
ah,
she's amazing,
okay.
and we work together on this. Yeah,
Yeah, it was fantastic. Just gave me like the really nice vibes. Anywho, so
thanks, man.
I was going through it, trying to do my research for this podcast, and I read about the origin story, which is how Acolyte was born in this knowledge sharing community of decentralized tech researchers. Uh, in your own words, from one of the creators, walk through what was happening in that decentralized tech researchers group. What were you doing there? How did you land there in the first place? And then what led to the creation of Acolyte?
Awesome. Yeah, I was scrolling through Twitter like just any
Hmm.
regular guy building on crypto, and I was following Ghost. He's like a KOL in the space, and he
Hmm.
was talking a lot about AI agents. And he just posted that he was creating a group for people to interact and to
Hmm.
learn together and to do research together about AI agents. And that's something that I was already doing it. So it
Huh.
was like a free group, just invite only. And then I
Yeah.
DM'd him and said, "Oh, let me get into this group. I want to get
Hmm.
in and talk about AI agents." And he was like, "Okay."
Hmm.
And then we joined the group. It was like 50 people at the time. That was like 4 months ago, I
Huh.
believe. And yeah, so we just started to chat about AI agents, the future, doing research together. What was the impact in crypto?
Was this right around the time when the whole Cotius Maximus, all that lore started? Like Andy released unleashed that on Twitter for us or to all of us.
Yes, yeah, it was at that
Mm.
time like AI
October,
execution
November.
didn't even exist, I believe.
Mm. Mm.
So yeah, it was around that time,
Mm.
and we were like, okay, what is this? Like, what are they doing? Automated X accounts and all that kind of stuff, and automated agents and virtuals is already like since early 2024, but there wasn't like something huge there yet. It was
Mm.
starting to get some attention. So that's what happened, and then we tried to, and then we realized, and that was how Acolyte was born. We realized that AI agents, they had their own terminals, and it was kind of becoming expensive to access the terminals.
Mm.
So we were like, okay, let's actually create an AI agents that has access to all the terminals and decentralize and democratize the data from those terminals, and to
Mm.
say if that terminal is worth or not, if the terminal is correct or not, if that data is good enough, if that agent is actually an agent. So is his data correct? Is he talking about the is he actually automated? So verifying that agentic structure, right? So we started with that
Mm.
idea. But then when we launched, it was actually technically created by Kuroro Sage. He's the founder
Mm.
of Kuroro Beast, a game on running, very successful game. They actually launched like last week. The part of the game was like million of users. So this guy is amazing, and he was trying new things to launch, just to play around with the virtuals protocol. And he launched technically with his wallet, and then we got a
Just so I understand this, and for for the community and audience,
yeah,
the token was launched first on virtuals before
correct.
even there was an agentic. When before even an agent was available for folks to try
Yeah,
out or
yeah, we launched the
test.
token because we
Oh,
had
oh,
the tech.
okay.
Yeah, we had the tech from my company, from Lumix, and
Hmm.
we had the KOLs in that group. We
Ah,
had the
okay.
attention already, but it was just an experiment to see if
Got it.
that thing was going to actually ascend.
So
So
you
what
also
happened, we
launched
didn't know.
you also launched a social agent like AXPT or Truth
That
Terminal.
was later. That was much later.
Ah, okay.
Because we launched as an experiment to see if there was traction in the narrative,
Hmm.
and then we got ascended. Like if you look at the graphic of our token, um,
Hmm.
you're going to see it stays like this
Hmm.
for like 2 weeks with like
Hmm.
300k market cap, 400, 300, 500.
Hmm.
Because this time when we launched in the side
Hmm.
DTR, there was no pre-sale, no private investors, nothing. We just launched, and
Hmm.
people from the group bought in, and we put like 10k, 20k, whatever, and we got ascended, and then the market cap was like this, and it was like the same day I DM Sage and was like, okay, I'm going to make this happen. This is
Hmm.
my dream. Like and I have it written on my wall, which is I want to, because at the time, and now I have a CEO that I hired to keep my agency and product led growth and software house happening. So I'm not exactly that anymore, because it's more like a service provider, and I always wanted to build my own products with AI, with crypto, with a lot of tech, of course, being an international project, so worldwide, and with good people. So for Acolyte, we had it all. We had 100%. I was like, oh my God, this is my thing. Like, I'm going to go all in and make this
Hmm.
huge. So that's what I did. So I kind of like
Hmm.
took over. Like, I did like a CTO where I talked to Sage. He was like, okay, let's do it. And then
Hmm.
we actually bought around 25% of the token supply at the time. It was like 300k ish. So we bought
Hmm.
that, sent to a multisig. We bought with our own money, sent into a multisig, and then
Wow. Okay.
I just hired people from my team that had a software house. Just brought a lot of people together. There's really like very high level guys that we work with huge brands already, so we're very professional. That's why when you go to the website, you go to the white paper, you see like, okay,
Hmm.
this is more professional than
Yeah,
like
feels
a
like
agent.
totally a very legit approach, like very
Exactly.
professional. Exactly.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we differentiate from that. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So token was launched, and then you got excited. You got in. You committed yourself. Uh, Talk about the first like initial release. Like, Was it a social agent and a terminal? What kind of data are we, when you started, what was the first product that came out of this? Was it an agent? And if it was an agent, like, was
Yeah.
the focus around having a competitor for AI XPT, like kind of giving out market data? Is that what the
Mhm.
start was?
So the start was actually plugging into different data sources. So
Mm.
understanding every data source that is. If you look at it, we have hundreds right now. It's not easy. You have cookie.fun, you have Kaito, you have GitHubs, you have Nansen, Dune. You can read
Tune.
white papers. You have the Twitter account. You have NextScreener, CoinGecko. You have hundreds of data
Mm.
sources.
And
And
then
the
all of these different blockchain data from gazillion chains.
Exactly. And you even have Web 2 data. So you have a
Yeah.
lot of data.
Mm.
And sometimes there's data that doesn't make sense. So if you look at the market cap on Black Screener, it's different from the market cap at CoinGecko. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So how do you realize which one is correct, right?
Mm.
So the first step was to plug it into a few of those sources and starting to organize that internally.
Mm.
And also using Eliza OS, which is the framework that we use now, to
Mm.
automate that data into X accounts. So if you look at Acolyte right now, you see like he talks about real data, he talks about market cap, he talks about like data overall from the markets. So that was the first step. But this is just like version 0.01. This is just a
Mm.
start. And now what we're actually doing is we are plugging into a few data sources, like I mentioned, and then we provide that data via API to other agents for them to make better decisions. So we already gather data from those sources and provide to, for example, DTRXBT. He's a
Mm.
client of Acolyte, so he gets the data
So,
from our API.
so would you describe Acolyte now more as a data company than an AI agent project?
We are a data company focused on providing the best data to AI agents.
Hmm. Okay,
But
interesting.
that is what we are now. That's not the vision. The vision is a thing that I'll talk about a little bit,
Hmm.
because
Yes.
we will aggregate more than data,
Hmm.
and we're already talking to Virtual's team, to a few other big guys that they all like give very good feedback on this, and that's what we're moving towards. But I do think it's a blue ocean. We have so like little competition. Everyone is so small, so I do
Hmm.
think there's room for everyone for now
Yeah.
until the space becomes very competitive, that I think will happen in the next 6 to 12 months. But for now, we are definitely providing data. But
Hmm.
that's not only for B2B like other agents, but like we are releasing the terminal, which we are going to release probably today a video. That today is Friday 14th, but I don't know when this podcast will come out. But we're releasing really soon the terminal. And B2C, you're gonna be able to open your X, and it's like an extension that opens up and show you real time data on that token, not only agents but overall market. So you can buy and sell the token within that extension as well, and
Hmm.
you can do deep research. So see the white paper. So for yourself, for example, that you love doing research, is going to facilitate your work. So that's
Wow.
a
Okay.
tool for us to also get behavior inputs from B2C users for us to provide better data to the agents later.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's a flywheel where we get behavior, and then we
Yeah.
teach the agents what people want over time.
Hmm. Hmm. And you started describing the problem statement as terminals are too expensive for folks to use. And AIXPT was a great example, because I was one of the earliest investors in AIXPT, and I recognized I need, like, I don't know, half a million. I don't remember the exact number of tokens that I required. It was just too large a number, $30,000 or something at those prices, which is huge. I mean, why would I spend $30,000 to access a terminal? Just didn't make
Yes.
any sense. Talk
Yeah.
about the terminal that Acolyte is going to release, this whole the Chrome extension.
Mhm.
Is this going to be like really cheap? How many like Acolyte tokens do I need to hold in my wallet in order to get access and use this extension?
Yeah, we started with this idea of making more democratic. There's access to data and insights.
Hmm.
So that's what we're doing right now. With even 20,000 acolytes, which is like $150, you can
Hmm.
access the terminal,
Oh,
but you need to
wonderful.
stake that. But you have credits, so you
Hmm.
can use the terminal 3 times a day with that amount of staking power.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
if you stake more, you'll be able to have more credits, and you can
Hmm.
also pay in like a monthly to have access to buy more credits. But that will
Hmm.
be way cheaper than 50K, 30K. Right now, it's like $200,000 to access
Hmm.
AXBT terminal, which is ridiculous. For
Yeah.
us, it would be around like 2,000, 5,000 a month for you to have access. You can also pay in project tokens if you're a new agent. So we're very flexible on democratizing that data to the people.
Okay. All right. I want to take a broader look at your entire product strategy, because there's a bunch of moving parts here. There's the Acolyte AI agent, right? Then you have the terminal which is coming up, which allows me to real time, based on what I'm reading on X, if I read it heard it right. If I see something related to an AI agent, I can quickly click on that extension and it will give me real time insights
Yeah,
about
can I
that
share my
specific
screen real quickly?
opportunity.
Can I share my
Sorry?
screen? Can I
Of
share my
course.
screen?
Of course.
Okay, yeah, let me show you in real time. So can you see my screen now?
Hmm.
Okay, so this is the terminal. So when you're scrolling here, like let's say you found an agent like Limbo, for example.
Hmm.
If you click on the post or on like on the profile, it recognizes its agents, and
Hmm.
it's so if you go here, so it recognizes its agents, and it shows. So yeah, let me check if Limbo is going to recognize. Yeah, this is, yeah, sometimes it takes a while because we're like we didn't okay, so we're like updating this. But let me try again. Yeah, I know those demos are tricky. Okay, there you go. Just need to reset. So let me go again. So I'm going here, and then I just found, I think, what the internet issue. So if you can just like type AXBT or whatever you like, and it recognizes, she opens up automatically. So recognize the agents, and you can click review detection, and it shows you real time data on that agent. So price, market cap, plus mind share, 24 hours, 7 days. You can see followers, holders, smart followers, number of whales, growth, and you can also talk with that to search similar agents. And soon you will add like an archive of historical. You can buy the token, and you can also understand the white paper. So if you click here, um, so again, this is not fully published yet. We are going to, to give access very soon, but it's going to show here, and we're looking at the article itself, but show here like similar agents, and there's like a similarity percentage that you can see. So soon you're
Oh,
going to be able to
wow. Hmm.
click here and go directly to the Twitter as well. So why is it similar, and the conclusion about it, and yeah, going to keep adding more data, so it
Hmm.
makes sense for this to be like useful for you, right? So and that happens anytime you find agents here. For example, we see banker, so it's open up and show you this. But yeah, for example, here you got the other picture, but it's going to show metrics of banker,
Hmm.
so that enables you to be fast on analyzing it. And that's not going to be only for agents, it's going to be for any token in the near future. So, and
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
agentic.
forget even tokens. I feel like this is such a natural way to research almost anything. Like even beyond tokens, even like in your normal research about topics and stuff, I see like this could be expanded into, which is so cool.
Exactly. So this is just so you can see like everything it recognizes almost instantly, give you data on that, and you can
Interesting.
keep
Hmm.
like doing that for anything, right? So there's a lot of new features we want to add for this, like a lot.
Hmm.
And this is like the first step of us using our infra, our data infra, to give access to anyone, and it's
Hmm.
fairly cheap. But that's the B2C product that we're building. We do have the B2B part, which is the main thing, which is providing builders with the best data sets, with the best tooling, helping them find the best. And then that's the vision that we're building, which
Hmm.
is a aggregator tool, not only for data, but for everything that you need to launch your agents, but not competing with launchpads. We're not going to become a launchpad.
Is this something like an arc.fun or an ELISA, which is a framework to build agents?
It is not. We do have our own framework, like we are launching, which is the Signal framework, and the framework is focused on just actually it's an internal thing that we need because we want the Acolyte to be a specialist in X. If you go to Eliza OS, it's very chunky. So
Mm.
you can do a lot of things. There are hundreds of plugins there, but it's heavy. It's bloated. It takes a while, 25 to 30 minutes to build anything and to try it out. It's complex and heavy. And you look at
Mm.
gaming from Virtuos, it's very good for entry level builders. But for us, that we are very technical and we know exactly what we want and we have the capability of development, we need to develop our own framework, pretty much like XBT's built his.
Mm.
We're building ours, which is 100% focused on X and very
Mm.
lean to build. And Acolyte will be able to, the framework, the Signal framework, will be able to recognize all the capacities of Twitter. For example, you'll be able to do quote reposts. And once the articles API is released, you're going to be able to post articles, join Twitter Spaces, social listening from Twitter Spaces to post in real time. So use Twitter as its maximum capacity and also be a
Mm.
goal-driven agent that you learn from historical data, from his posts, and from KOLs that we assign, and he can recognize they are good to reach that goal. For example, Acolyte goals will be to reach 3% of mindshare. Right now is at 0.05. Once you reach 3%, we'll give him a new goal. But to reach that, you look into all his posts and try new things. He's gonna be funny, more serious. He's gonna make memes. He's gonna talk about anything to improve his mindshare or to do whatever we want him to do. For example, he wants to learn. He wants to earn yaps. Maybe you want your agent to do that, so he'll be able. You teach me what a yap is, and he'll learn historically and based on other KOLs what to do to earn that. So that's
Wow.
the framework.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
only
So
for X for now. So it's very lean.
all right. So with the Signal framework, which is like, the company behind, I guess, whatever is all of these products that are coming out of it, that's essentially going to be this large organized data repository that Acolyte agent itself or anybody who wants to build an agent can tap into to train any kind of specific agent behavior. It could be a social agent trained to earn yaps
Yeah, I'll share my screen
as
again
one
so
as
it's
one use case.
easier to
Mm.
understand. So yeah, so that's exactly it. So you have the data sources, and
Mm.
what I'm saying is soon we will add more sources than data. So we'll do frameworks, we have payment systems, we have anything, launch pads, we have anything that is needed, and we won't compete with Cookie. We don't want to compete with Kaito. We don't want to compete with Virtuos. We actually want to aggregate everything that is needed. And if you want to create an agent that is focused on being a trading agent or an influencer or assistant, you going to be able to have specific tools for that agent. Maybe for you to build TikTok agents, it's better for you to use Gamey. But sometimes, if you want to build a trading agents, maybe it's better for you to use the ELISA framework
Oh,
or
so
the
it's like this ultimate aggregator modular framework that allows me to pick and choose the best things from these
exactly,
independent stacks, and then have this memory of data which I can tap into to then give specific powers to it. And that's
exactly.
what differentiates Acolyte from everybody else. Did I get a good summary out of this?
Yes, that was
I mean,
great.
amazing, amazing. Okay, I get the product now. I understand where it is. So, what are the first set of data, sources that you're tapping into? Is this mostly, on-chain information, Most- mostly stuff that is around, specific use cases like building a social media agent or a trading agent, or mostly related to crypto only? Like, is that the first milestone? And then how does this data expansion look like? And also talk about like what kind of use cases in terms of agents are possible today, and then in the next 3 to 6 months, 12 months down the line, what kind of agentic solutions can be built? Like, what does that roadmap look like for somebody who's thinking about, okay, I want to get into the space. It's exciting and interesting, but I don't know what those opportunities are, right?
Yeah. So now we are plugging into CoinGecko, Cookie.fun, Dex Screener, GitHub, X API. We read white papers with Rags as well. We are
Mm,
plugging into Nansen. And soon we will add like Archon, Bubble Maps, Dune, Fear and Greed Index, lists of KOL. So we're already grabbing like Web 2 data from X API, and we were plugging into other Web 2 APIs because you do need to, the agents does need to know what is happening outside of crypto to make crypto decisions. So he needs to know what's happening. So it's
mm,
not only on-chain data. So you can get off-chain data as well already.
mm.
And we're going to keep evolving this. The best data will always win, and we'll be able to recognize that with
How
our data sets.
now, you gave this example to me earlier that if you look at price fades from CoinGecko and let's say
X trainer.
a deck screener, there's a difference. How do you is this a manual process today to figure out, trust this data over this data, or what metrics or information is, trusted in order to make that decision, or is that a decision which agents are making themselves and they are free to choose
Yeah.
whichever price
For
fade they
now
want to?
yeah, for now they make the decisions themselves because they look into more data points and they do like okay, this one is more similar, so this one looks like the truth.
Mm,
But in the near future we'll just grab directly nodes from chains, and then we can get the real on-chain data from that. And yeah, but that's a little bit more costly. So for now the
mm,
agent is able just to make inference from all the data sets that he has and just understand what's the higher percentage of being correct.
mm,
Yeah, and you talk about the use cases, right? So for
yeah.
that, like honestly, our part is that's the beautiful thing about what we're building. So we are actually providing the infra for people to be creative and create whatever the agent they want. So now we do see a lot of trading agents, and that's the top one thing that people are trying to build, and I do think we will achieve that very soon with the DeFi AI, or Diff
Mm,
AI, whatever however we
mm.
say this.
Yeah.
But yes, we replace like sending transactions and bridging and stuff like that, which right now is very costly, and you got to do a whole bunch of things to do it. So this will be replaced, and I think that's interesting. But we do have other use cases like influencers. Right now, we have AIXBT dominating the crypto Twitter, and soon we'll have hundreds of those competing against attention. And every single KOL will need to have an AI agent with himself because to help him create more content and be more creative. So this will happen. And we
You
have,
know, Uh, Fair point, but here's my counter argument to that. Just pure economics. Like for something to sustain, there must be more cash coming in than cash going out. So obviously there is a cost associated with me using your infrastructure, or whatever infrastructure to spin up an agent, maintain an agent, run an agent, and sustain it.
yeah.
There must be something of value that it creates that is accrued in the world of crypto to the token for the project to be sustainable, or if it is a web 2 agent in the form of real revenues, right? I subscribe to ChatGPT, pay them $20, they are able to sustain themselves. Of course they are not profitable today, but eventually that's the end game, right, for them. um, when you have like millions of social agents, gazillion trading agents, um, some of them would win, some of them won't win. How do you see this play out, like in this scenario which where you're talking about, like there's going to be so many of them? How does the how does the economics of an agent play out?
hmm Yeah, so from our perspective, that we're providing the infrastructure, really like we kind of win no matter what. Of course, we
Mm,
do prefer for agents to be much bigger because then we win with them. But even if you try out to be an agent, you're going to be able to. You need to have data. So blood is for humans, data is for AI agents. So they need data to live.
Hmm.
Humans, they don't need data to live. They can just live somewhere in isolated islands. They will live. But AI agents, they is like their blood. They need data. So without that, they are zero. They simply don't exist.
Yeah.
So every agent needs data anyway, and getting data is very tricky and can be very expensive. So
Uh,
if instead of
like, uh,
you like always having to find new data sets, what if you plug it into one thing that can guarantee you the fast, the cheaper, and the most reliable data? It's going to be a no-brainer for you to go with that route, because you want to be creative on top of it. You don't want to worry about all the data sets all the time, because you want to receive it, the raw data, created data, or the insights for you to be able to build on top of. So that's the infra that we're building. And then, of
eh,
course, yeah, it's like a startup, right? It's like you
no,
have.
no. I'm also trying to figure out. Like cons on one side is the information, the data that I need to make the agent work, but on the other side is if I wear a product owner's hat, I am thinking what will be the edge that will make me win. Like AIXPT, I think one part of their edges, of course, they were early movers in that, yapper, financial yapping category. So others tried, like there are many projects which has come up which are trying to do something similar, but they're not able to get that foothold because, it was the first. And of
Yeah.
course, these guys had some specific data resources and they were improving the agent. Um, and so what I'm trying to understand from you is, you know what would be like if a founder comes to you and says, okay, I want to build something, um, and he has a good idea, but he would obviously have to figure out the moat around the solution. So
Mhm.
give us a little understanding of, what could be those moats that these agent builders should build alongside the data that you are now able to unlock for them.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, so honestly, I think you have to have like a builder slash like it's a regular startup that
Mm,
you're building with like really, really next level tech. You're like in crypto and AI, which is the
mm,
top of the top. It's
yeah.
not like a regular thing like a SaaS or like email marketing stuff. You're building like AI and crypto. There's it's a blue ocean. You have a lot of stuff to build yet. So what I
Mm,
would do, and I always did in my life, is trying to figure out what I'm already good at, what I like to do, and what it makes sense for me. You need to understand exactly what you're doing, because if you never use like I've seen like Web2 guys coming into Web3 trying to build stuff, and if you never use the MetaMask, you're not going to be able to build in crypto. Like if you like
mm.
fashion, if you love fashion, you know about fashion, build a fashion agents. Try to build stuff that will make your life easier. Try to build stuff for
Mm,
you that makes sense for you, and then you keep talking, that you create like a pitch deck, and then you talk, DM me, talk with virtuals, talk with people around you, try to create a Twitter and try to talk about stuff and see if people are interested in that, because not necessarily you have an idea, that idea is can be successful. Sometimes there is not enough market for it, right? So you gotta try to understand something that you're already good at, try to replace that with existing agents. And if you see, oh, there are agents already doing this, but there are like agents that have tokens that already do this, because the differentiates for us from Web2 Web3 is that people can invest into that agents. They
mm.
can help you get capital way faster in Web3 than Web2. And you get a community way faster. So it is harder because you have to deal with a community, but at the same time you can get a capital and attention much faster. So I would go that route, because man, it's so many possibilities to replace.
Mm.
It will be, I cannot say, oh, this will be the one that will be the next AI XBT. It's hard to like, I don't know, but
Yeah.
what I
The
know is,
the next big thing is not going to be the next Google. Not going to be a search engine.
yeah, we don't know. Like it depends. Maybe it is a search engine. Maybe it's
Mm.
not. Maybe it's an influencer. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
trader. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
physical AI
Mm.
agent. We don't know. But what I know is there will be millions of those, and we are at the time where we have very few builders doing it. So
That's
do it.
actually a great point because I feel like people will be looking at their own personal, processes on things that they directly deal with, and they'll find solutions. Okay, this is where it's a major pain point. Like I-
Yes,
I've been in the financial, finance industry for almost a decade, and I know as an ex accountant, like there's just so many things that I used to do, from creating a financial model to writing a report to editing it to conducting due diligence to going through like tons and tons of inventory data for a company that I'm auditing. And I just feel like, for somebody who was in the weeds, they understand what the problem is and how much of it can be completely
automate.
automated and much better optimized and improved by an intelligent agent. And
Yes,
so I feel like the opportunity is in that long tail of use cases that we can't even, like, put a name to right now. It will come through those personal experiences, which is a great point.
yes,
I want to segue now, Cons, to the token itself. Now, it's a two-part question, right? The first is, we saw a lot of folks, as you said, and I saw one of Balaji's tweets that you retweeted, which was like, crypto is how people like us become investors, and AI is how you start creating, like too creative, like building stuff. And so, would you recommend, like, I mean, I don't know if we are past that meta. I think there is still interest, but at which stage would you recommend these builders to go out there and launch their token whilst they are building their product, or should they now take a backseat and first launch a product, a working agent which does something, showcase value, and then launch a token? How do you think about this? Um, you know,
yeah.
um,
I
yeah, this
think
problem.
Yeah, I think it depends
Mm,
on timing. I
mm,
if I had to do from scratch now, I would definitely try to build something and build the structure around it before just launching a random token,
mm,
unless you can get a lot of attention day one. But there's a lot of nuances on this, because if you launch a token, you're very hyped, people can just snipe your token, or there's so many things that you need to think
yeah.
about when launching a token itself. But honestly, I do think there is a lot of room for people to build solutions. So if you have the capabilities, build solutions first to solve your problems, and then you launch a token that people will be expecting to launch, and then you have holders already because they are your users, right? They want
Mm,
to invest in what you're doing. So definitely, I'll definitely do that. um,
mm,
there are very specific things for ourselves, like we launched the token first, but there was no hype because we didn't publicly announce it. So if you see again, we had like 2 weeks of no price movement at all, because we're just building internally, and then all of the sudden we
mm,
started like, oh, here's the website, here is the automated X, here, like in 2 months time we delivered like a full terminal, we're delivering a framework, we're delivering the data sets, we already have clients. So it's not like we're building for a year and doing nothing, we're building for 2 months and delivering a lot of stuff, because we're capable of building stuff in the shadows. And
mm,
also we made some very smart decisions on timing. We were able to get funding very fast, and we already have funding from the founders, like we're not in need of money
mm,
ourselves, so we were able to create something bigger there. But one thing that I suggest doing is try to build something yourself, or participate in hackathons, for example. A
mm,
lot of projects, base virtuals, are doing hackathons. Participate in those, get attention from them, find a founder. If you're technical, find a business marketing guy. If you're a business marketing guy, find a technical founder, and then work together to build stuff to replace things that you know what to do. Don't try to be the next AXBT. Find some stuff that you like and you already do and you want to replace, and that's gonna be different, and that's gonna get people's attention.
mm, mm. Great, solid advice. I agree. Um, I want to segue coming to the second part of my question, which is around the Acolyte token itself. Now, largely, when I look at crypto in general, I've been in the space now for almost 4.5 years. Every project is, mm, it's always a challenge to figure out, you know what utility really means for a token. I feel like a lot of these tokens which quote unquote call themselves as utility tokens are, nothing more than memes, because there is not much that you can actually do by holding a token. There is also consumer behavior. Like, the people who are buying these tokens are buying because they want to make money. Like, they want
Mhm.
to buy cheap and sell when they can exit.
Yeah.
They don't care about utility. When
Yep.
you think about all of this and you think about the role of Acolyte's token in your entire, product vision and where it's going, can you talk about how what's a general like mental model around the Acolyte token? Do you see is this as something which will play a very critical role in harnessing the community and in and play a pivotal role in this entire infrastructure that you're building? And if yes, how and why?
Cool. So, different from what a lot of people talk about, I do think the price of the token is very important, is vital
Mm.
for the project to succeed. Like some people say, "Oh, I don't care about the price of the token." You're lying, because if the token was zero, you had no
Total
company.
BS.
You have no company, right? But if your token is worth billions of dollars, you can have a lot of resource. People will come to you. You get a lot of attention. So yes, the token is very important.
Mm.
It is the company. The token is the company. It's the same thing.
Mm.
That's all. So I treat it as this. If the token is going up, I'm happy. I'm doing everything in my power for the token to go up and up and up. That's all.
Mm.
How do I do this? So there are two parts. One part is the narrative, the hype, people around it, the culture. They see what I'm building. They see that, okay, oh my god, this guy, he's gonna be a $1 billion market cap soon. Like, this guy is relentless. He's actually building stuff. He's working with people. He's collabing with everyone. He has a vision. He has a team. He has funding. Has everything that is needed. So I'm going to trust him. That, and I like the branding. I like the story. I like to be a part of this. So it is a culture play as well. It's not only
Mm.
utility. That's why memes are so good, because you have
Mm.
no utility, but you have this culture part very well polished. So this is something that we're building for sure. Like, we're going to announce more 3D stuff. It's going to look pretty. Everything that we do is going to look awesome, and we're going to do more partnerships and more deals. And we're going to be more transparent. Like, I'm trying to build in public as much as I can and be transparent as much as I can for people to understand the vision and participate in that. Right. So this is one part. The second part is, and I think this part a lot of technical founders, they don't know how to do, because they only
Mm.
focus on the utility, the math, and end up like just going down because people don't understand that. So this first part is very much important, and actually is more important at the beginning. Once, before you have a product, before you have funding, before you have stuff, you need to be really good at that, right?
Mm.
And then the second part is the actual utility of the token, like what it exactly does within the ecosystem. Because if it's only hype and you're building a company and has no attachments, one day like the company can do really well, but the token is zero. And of course, like, okay, you're making money yourself within the company, but you're getting hate from your community because you forgot about them. And we see
Mm.
this all the time, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta attach those. So what we're doing is, we already have, like, we have more than 100,000 holders. We have the community, we have people, but of course we're really really small. We're like 20 million market cap, and this is really really small for me. Like, I feel we're very undervalued at this right now, but they're okay, because as soon as we release more products and people are actually using those, and we announce the partnerships that we have, anyway, the token is going to activate and see the consequences of that.
And in your product roadmap, when you say like token is the company, and I'm hearing token is a product, is the product. This is something that Shaw told me when I was interviewing him a couple of weeks back. So clearly there is this firm understanding with the, at least with the founders, that token plays a very important critical role. Is there anything like that you can reveal around how the other products that you're building, the data layer, the oracles, the terminal, you've already revealed how the token will play a role in you getting access to it and credits to query. But beyond that, where else do you see the token playing a critical role in this entire infrastructure stack for people to use it and access it?
Yeah, so that was the second part. The first part is this, the culture. The second part is the utility. So the utility now, what
Oh.
happens with Acolyte is what we're touching it as is based on the company's success. So
Mm.
anything that we build could be the terminal, could be the framework, could be the data aggregation tool, could be anything that we bring to the table, any revenue that the company makes. We use a percentage of that to buy back Acolytes. And because we need Acolyte to be very valuable as a flagship agent. So other agents who come to us, they're already doing it. We have like a few dozen agents in our pipeline to integrate with the
Mm.
API. And we hired actually a head of business development last week. He writes for Cointelegraph. He did the biggest deal on Polygon grants ever. So in Latam, so the guy is amazing. And we brought him because we already have a whole bunch of deals happening that we cannot deal with myself. So that's why we're dealing with this. And everything that comes in, a percentage of the revenue will be directly to buy back acolytes, and then that buyback will be burned or airdropped to stakers. So everything is related
Mm.
to the token itself. So when people are happy because the token is going up, it makes our life much easier. So
Mm.
that's our focus, of course.
Mm.
And we want the next step is to get away from only Web3, and
Mm.
as we evolve into Web 2,
Mm.
yeah, he's playing around there. So as we evolve into Web 2 data layers and Web 2 agents, we are able to make money even in a bear market, and our
Mm.
token will maintain value because of that. Although, like of course, like people will get out of it, but in a bear market, if we're able to maintain the price, people are very happy as well.
Mm.
So in the bull
Mm.
market, we explode because we're evolving to that, and we have that
Mm.
financial connection of
Mm.
revenue and token price.
Hmm. Okay, now I come to the end of this podcast. So I have two questions. The first one is you started with Base, right? The token was launched on Base, and now you're expanding to Solana. And I read your tweet where you were talking about how this has no impact on the base holders. It essentially just expands the market by bringing in more eyeballs, more
Yeah.
liquidity, and more holders into the Acolyte family or community.
Mhm.
Um, and then there were other tweets where you were essentially talking about how um, Acolyte should not even be restricted to just Base or Solana. Eventually, we would want to expand to wherever there is a market, deep liquidity, or presence of users who demand something like this. Can you talk about when this transition of how was happening, when Virtuals was essentially thinking about moving to Solana, and when they made that announcement at I think that that happened in Turkey, if I'm not wrong, Istanbul. They made that announcement that this is going to happen. Um, was that the point when you know was it is that something that came from the team or community, that hey, everyone who is now on Base, all the projects, they should also expand to Solana? Or is this, are these decisions made independently by all the teams who are part of this
Mhm.
partner network?
Mhm.
What was your general thinking around Base versus Solana, this expansion? And
Yeah.
what are your future multi-chain plans, kind of going beyond to other alt L1s and the larger L2 EVM landscape?
Yeah, so we don't want to be in the hands of one chain only. I feel like there are guys like the founders, like Toli or Jesse from
Mm.
Base, people that are
Mm.
building chains. Of course, they're gonna be only on that chain, just because they're building that. And with
Yeah.
like guys like Mert from Solana, the guys like Solana Maxi, and that's okay. Like I like his content, but I do think it's very limiting,
Mm.
because if you think about companies, they just use the internet, whatever. Depends on the server or whatever. The best one will be there. So
Yeah.
we don't want to, and our tool is to help any agent anywhere. Web two
Mm.
agents, Web three agents. So if your agents on Abstract or Solana or whatever it is, near or ETH or whatever, we want to be able to provide to you. We do not need to have liquidity in that chain to provide data to you. Our chain, our data is a layer above the chain, so we don't attach directly to our token. We get the revenue from any chain and we can buy back our token on Base, for example. But we saw this opportunity of showing Solana agents that we are committed to Solana as well. That's why we added some liquidity, which is like right now like 100K, so it's not
Yeah.
much. It didn't affect base at all. Like if you saw the volume is still great. We actually grew. We're like we end up the last few days. So nothing changed. We are now having more liquidity. People that want to buy only on Solana, they can go there. Oh, Acolyte is on Solana. So if you go to CoinGecko, it shows we have tokens on two chains already. It's already official. You can see like base chain, and you get the address on Solana as well. So now we it's a next level. That's okay. Now you see this. It's a more credibility play because if you look at the biggest tokens, they are everywhere, right? They have liquidity in any chain. That's what we want to move to very soon. And related to virtuals, no, it's not demanded from virtuals. Like we thought about this before, even talking to them, even before knowing they were going to do this. But a couple weeks ago, we had a call with them. We have like weekly calls with them. We have a group. It's very like good relationship. They help us a lot, and we try to help them as much as we can as well. And they announced, they told us at the exact day they were going to announce, and they actually proposed to help us adding liquidity there. So they did help us. We're like, okay, let's do it. So we use like a percentage of the tokens that they bought back the acolytes. So we didn't
Yeah.
have to put money from our side. They actually added liquidity from their sides. So that was even good for us because brought in liquidity, more liquidity to the ecosystem because it was like just acolytes there, and now we have a pair on Solana. There's more active money instead of just stops doing nothing. Um, so yeah, that was very good for us. And honestly, I just see as like more chains get more liquidity, we'll definitely go there as well to prove to agents from any chain that we are concerned about that chain as well, and we want to collab with any chain that makes sense, right? We could like become chain only, like one chain, but honestly, I don't think that's necessary. Like I do speak with Solana as well, and they say like, yeah, of course, if you build on Solana, it's better, but it's more like a narrative of competition. And at the end, like if you bring liquidity to them, if you bring users to them, they're gonna be happy, and they're not gonna ask you to be exclusive because they want to bring people from other chains to Solana or Solana to Base, you know. So that's more healthy than just being on one chain. Yeah.
And okay, and so for me, as a if I want to like back Acolyte, like be an investor, it doesn't matter whether I buy on Base or Solana, as long as it's a completely free choice for me. It's not like it will unlock some special services or dividends by buying on Solana versus Base, unless there are some incentives or whatever which might be
So for now,
announced.
so for now, there's no direct incentives to buy on
Mm,
Solana. We do think about doing this in the future, but not exclusive to Solana. It will be more like a multi-chain structure, like maybe like a point system or something that we can see. We can handpick people that are helping actually the community grow. But actually, for now, you cannot stake if you have Acolyte tokens on Solana, and that's just a technical limitation that it's more tricky to build smart contracts integrated with already staking mechanisms. So we're not going to do that for now. So honestly, it's better for you to have tokens on base for now for Acolyte, just because you can stake. So that's better. But very soon on Virtual's website, you're going to be able to buy Acolyte tokens on base with Solana.
oh, so you're building cross-chain infrastructure.
Yeah, so that's going to be on Virtual's website already.
Ah,
So people can already
very
do
cool.
this. We
Go
just
ahead.
added a little bit of liquidity on Solana just because of the narrative and because the community were asking for. But we don't see this as a major milestone. This is something just we did in like 3 4 days, and that's fine. Our 100% our focus is to be multi-chain and build layers of infra and actually be a profitable business very soon. So then we can dominate the market.
Mm. Okay, I want to bring this podcast to a close. First, thank you for being so patient. It's been almost an hour and a half. I mean, I didn't even recognize the time just flew by. Very interesting conversation. But where do we go next? Leave the audience with the bigger picture, mission and purpose that Acolyte is here to, solve, and how will this change the world, improve our society and our lives, which is what it is all about at the end of the day. So, And how would we see that, more from a pragmatic, realistic point of view, from a, evolution of the products, or, what are some cool things to come over the next like 6 months to, a year?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for the opportunity, man. It's been great. Definitely flew by. Would love to do more of those. And so from the product and vision perspective, so for the vision, it will happen. It's inevitable that we have millions of agents, billions of
Mm,
agents in the world. It is going to happen. You like it
mm,
or not, it's going to happen. And it's better if you are on the building side of things instead of just receiving that, so that you grow with it. You make more money, you're more successful, you understand the tech, you are in the trenches actually building stuff.
mm,
So just stay in the loop and understand what we're doing here, because that's the future. It's inevitable. And that's the vision, and we want to help people, and we want to help the world to exist. We want to help and fasten the process of having millions and billions of agents around us, doing our chores that we want to do. Like, for us to be super, to feel like a superpower, to have agents alongside us, and we'll be way do a lot of stuff much faster. And if you are the ones doing this right now, you already
mm,
feel like a human being to other humans. So that's pretty
mm,
cool. And we want to help you the future, right? So for the product itself, the vision that we have for Acolyte and Signal is that we don't want to compete with agents. We want to help more agents to be built and to exist long term. So we are not going to compete with Cook.fun. We're not going to compete with Kaito. We're not going to compete with Solana. We're not going to compete with Virtuals or other launchpads. We are going to help them grow faster, aggregating them. So we are moving towards this aggregation tool where you're going to be able to build your own agent really fast, easy, low code, and just understanding what are the best places for you to build. If you want to build an influencer agent, if you want to build an assistant agent, if you want to build a trader agent, or whatever it is, you need to find the best tools for it, and we are going to be that place. So, and we're gonna get like a percentage of that and to buy back Acolyte, and then everyone is happy, right? So that's what we see as the future.
Incredible. Thank you, Cons. And just before you go, if there is a builder who wants to get in touch with you, and your team, and just spend time, explore what infrastructure is available, what's the best starting point for them? Where should they go? Do you have a
Yeah,
Discord,
just
Telegram, some
Yeah,
community?
just DM me on Twitter. Honestly,
Mm,
like, if you have just an idea, I can give feedback on the idea for sure. But I would suggest you to research, do a lot of research. Just follow Rohit here. Just follow me. Follow the other builders, Sammy, Ejas from ACC, Virtuals guys. Follow everyone and try to consume that information and try out all the agents that are out there. Try to see the loopholes. They actually work. Are they actually good? What are the best of them, the worst of them? Because you're only seeing people talking about on Twitter, you're gonna feel FOMO, and you don't know about the actual tech. So I do try all of the agents. I try the data sets that I'm using. I am like, I have Kaito, I have Dune, I have the stuff that I say, I have Nansen Pro. So I'm trying things. Do that, and then get in touch. Try to help builders as well, and then they're gonna help you back. So try to provide value and try to understand, and then it's inevitable again that you grow. So yeah, and yeah, man,
Incre-
I appreciate
Incredible.
it. Yeah,
I really appreciate from the bottom of my heart that you came. You graciously spent your time and answered all of my weird, stupid, not so stupid questions. And thank you so much. It was fun
thank you.
conversation.
Yeah, I appreciate
Enjoyed
it very
it.
much. Talk soon.